Hey everyone, welcome to High Heels and Hay Bales, the podcast where polished meets practical, legal meets lifestyle, and debt meets dirt.
I'm Kristen, your resident farm lady, keeping it real about motherhood, homesteading, and the funny side of figuring out life.
And I'm Adrienne, aka the Ladylike Lawyer. I'm here to help you make sense of money, debt, and the legal stuff without boring you to tears.
So kick off your boots or heels and let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
Well, Kristen, after tallying up the cost of bras, birth control, emotional labor, lipstick, and the mental gymnastics it takes just to answer, what's for dinner? You and I have come to a conclusion.
It is time for a full-blown regime change because if we ran the world, things would look totally different.
No more unpaid labor, no more pink tax, and you better believe emotional support snacks would be tax deductible.
So here it is, our official campaign platform, equal parts chaos and common sense. Welcome to our fantasy government. You are all automatically registered voters.
Welcome to the episode. This is called If We Ran the World, and today Kristen and I have a lot to say about things like the pink tax and the ways that looks are weaponized against women, both in the workplace and in the non-workplace, and what all this costs us emotionally and financially.
Yeah, and not only that, but how we're treated differently in different scenarios and different buying a car, so many different things. And this started because I was preparing to do a video for a dress and I was trying to squeeze into shapewear that I just bought, and I realized I got the wrong size, which still sucks. And I got it halfway over my ass and started having a panic attack because I knew it wasn't going any further. And I took it off and I was like, I'm just not going to use this. Whatever, I'll live. But I realized that I felt the need to have to hide or make a better image with something because other people might not like it or something. And I don't care what people think I look like or wear or whatever, except I do. And I hate it.
Yeah, I think that's very honest of you. I mean, I think it's really easy for us to sit back and say, I don't care what other people think. But we are women and we are human. And of course we care what other people think. And as much as we can joke about the flaws that we may recognize that we have, it is still a world that is not very kind to anybody who isn't completely put together. And of course, even that it's controversial. What does it mean to be put together, right?
Right.
But it's a real problem, and I'm glad that we're going to tackle it today. So we're going to talk about all the invisible ways that womanhood is going to cost us, right, as we go through this life, emotionally, physically, financially, and how I think it's fair to say we're done pretending that it's just fine. It's just fine that we pay more over here, right?
Yeah. No, it's not. I'm tired of that.
You know, they've been talking a lot about this thing called the pink tax. And I know we've been hearing it a bit. It's one of the first things that, we start to talk about when we start to show the inequity with what women have to spend. We literally spend more money on things that are specifically geared to women. We specifically pay more money if, like, for a razor to be pink, right? It's called the pink tax, is largely because of the razors. They would make them pink and then charge us more. And I think we're all kind of aware of those things. But the real issue here is that it is a form of gender-based price discrimination. And it's not a government tax, but it's a pricing disparity, and we allow it to happen. And just so that everybody knows, this is really going to apply to like personal care products and clothing and services, even like dry cleaning and haircuts. But there was a New York City study that found on average, women's products cost 7% more. That was just in 2015, 7% more. That was 10 years ago. And the disparity has gotten worse.
Oh, absolutely.
That's what I can say about that. Well, so we know that our razors can be more expensive. Our shampoos are more expensive. I used to pick up the dry cleaning for my husband and I, and it is goddamn irritating that his stuff, his pants and his shirts, that like it's like the whole industry was designed to do men's suits and shirts, and they're not expensive. But I take a dress there and it's like $24, right? My husband can get a shirt done for like $6 or $7, a pair of pants for $8 or $10, but yet for me to do a dress, I'm way above what he has to pay. My dry cleaning costs were exceptionally higher than his. No
That's
discussion.
insane.
Yeah.
See, I've never done, like, I think I might have had one thing dry cleaned maybe in my life, because if I can't throw it in the washer, it's going to get destroyed. Like, I don't care. I actually have a jacket that needs dry cleaned, and I'm like, I don't even, I'm just going to donate it or something. I don't know. But
Well, either that or you're going to have to start a GoFundMe because it's expensive.
clothes in general, you're talking about the dry cleaning cost. I can buy a pair of pants and my husband a pair of pants. And I used to be a seamstress. I mean, technically still am. I know how much fabric it takes to make clothes.
Yeah.
My husband's jeans are $20 cheaper than mine. And as a woman that is plus size, yes, I know fabric. It takes more fabric. Not much, my friends.
Yeah.
Not much. And I get charged 20 to 30% more for the clothes I buy versus what, my skinny friends buy.
Well, not just that, but it's even it's a price disparity with the men's clothing too.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
arguably, your jeans are using the same amount of material in theory as your husband's, but yours are going to be more than his.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. And let's not talk about pockets, because pockets infuriate me. I know we've mentioned this before, but holy hell, I put on a pair of shorts the other day and I went, where are my pockets? Oh yeah, they're on my ass. That is not helpful. Thank you.
You know what else really pisses me off now that we're on that subject? Are shorts and pairs of pants that have like half pockets. So it looks like there's a pocket there, but when you try and stick your cell phone in there, it sticks halfway out and falls out while you're walking. That happens to me and I don't like it.
I don't either. And as, again, a seamstress, I learned very easily how to create pockets in my pants. It's not hard, but not everybody has that luxury.
Right.
And it shouldn't be a friggin' luxury, man.
Quite frankly, I would say most people don't know how to put pockets into an outfit, so it is definitely not accessible for regular most people. I was today years old when it finally occurred to me that I could put my own pockets in something, because I do know how to sew a little bit. And I'm realizing, as you say, it's not that complicated.
Here we go. Another Adrienne rabbit hole.
Don't send me down a rabbit hole. The last thing I need to do is drag my sewing machine out from the basement and spread it out and start making my husband anxious that I'm getting back into another hobby that I'm going to abandon in another 3 weeks. So
it's super easy though.
I am going to start looking at all my stuff though, see what needs pockets. Now, I will say that as cute and funny as these things are, I really do want to talk about the fact that women's things for women, menstruation, period poverty is a phrase, and it's an important thing to think about. I think it's easy for us to just say, oh, we can always find a tampon somewhere, right? We can always get a pad somewhere. But the fact that menstrual products are very expensive, I mean, they're not cheap. It's not cheap to walk in and buy tampons or pads and that type of stuff. And they're generally taxed as non-essential items, right? So we have to pay a tax on those things. And that's something that is incredibly frustrating, where, women and girls get to a point where they simply cannot afford these things. These become luxuries, and we treat them as if they're not necessary when in fact they clearly are. I would venture to guess that if men had periods, that all of the stuff would be available for free. I mean, they just really would.
There definitely wouldn't be a tax on it.
Yeah, and I didn't even realize that it was such a big problem, and it's a problem in crowded communities and homeless shelters and low income communities, and it just it's heartbreaking to realize that we don't even treat that as if it's something valuable or important when half the population clearly sees these as a necessity.
It being so inaccessible for so many people is infuriating. I will say I have noticed, I've for some reason been looking for this lately. Um, the machines that are like tampons for a quarter or
Right.
pads for a quarter, they used to be everywhere. I remember that. And I don't see them anywhere. And this past weekend at the farmer's market, I took my little one into the bathroom. And in the library bathrooms, they have machines with free pads. And I was like, that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like, I love that. And we do, in that area of our city, have a large homeless population.
Yeah.
So knowing that that's there for them is
Love that.
even better. And I appreciate that so much when I do see it.
Yeah.
And, because of, I've seen this all over the place. People will donate bags of products, hygiene products,
Right.
to the homeless population in their areas. And one of the things that organizers of those projects request are feminine hygiene products,
Sure.
because they are so hard to come by.
Yeah.
And so hard. I mean, you and I can walk into any store and buy them, we can. But when you are low income or impoverished or homeless or whatever your situation, that is a bottom row thing,
It's a luxury.
It is,
It's a
and it
luxury.
shouldn't be. It
No.
shouldn't. It's infuriating.
When you went into the library in Elyria, I have to assume that that is something that either your local community, it believes is important, or your local library, or whoever's on the board, whoever's in charge, because not all libraries have them. Not all libraries in
Mhm.
Ohio have them. So it tells me that that is something that would be a decision made locally. And I think that's really the point here. Is I love the fact that in the Elyria, Ohio library bathroom, that they are thinking about people who might be in need in that way.
Mhm.
But if they're not in your library bathroom, then what does that say about your community? I mean, what does it say about what you value? And I think it's important to have conversations like this so that we can take a step back and see what's happening other places, and why the inequity really affects women, and what we can do about it.
I wish there was a simple answer. I mean, in a sense there is, but there's not. We've been in male dominated everything forever, and it needs to change. I mean,
Yeah.
quite frankly, the men have had enough time. I think it's our turn.
Well, I mean, listen, it feels like it's just a fight to be on equal footing. And it feels
Mhm.
like when we fight to be on equal footing, that we are labeled as radicals and nutballs,
Yep.
when all we want is for, young impoverished girls to be able to have
Dignity.
dignity. Exactly. That's what so much of this is about. And we talk about the men, and I think it's important to kind of shift a little bit into what it takes for women to be women and to look the way we do. I think we all know that the exhaustion and the rigmarole that we go through to look pretty, and that is expensive. It is, not only is it expensive, it's time consuming, and we'll get into that. But oftentimes when we do go through that process, then it is weaponized against us. The things that they force us to do turn out, they tend to weaponize us as a result of it. And I mean society as a general rule.
Yeah.
And for example, we more so than men have unrealistic beauty ideals, and we end up buying all these products. But more importantly, we get into this cycle of believing that we need all of these things just to simply be, right?
Mhm.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. And then, I mean, I know you wear makeup daily.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
So when I choose to wear makeup, when I feel it's necessary, doesn't matter if it's just lipstick or eyeshadow or whatever the hell I put on my face, I get told, you don't need to use that to look pretty. Well, what the hell do you want me to do? Do
Yeah.
you want me to look natural or do you want me to have a full face? Which is it? And a little bit, or it doesn't matter. Somebody's going to have something to say, and nobody should have anything to say about your appearance but you.
Yeah, but
And I'm trying to teach my kids this.
I would love to live in a world that was like that. But
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
let's be honest. Here I sit here, I'm looking at myself just in the screen, you know. I go to the hair salon every 6 weeks because I have gray hairs coming out. My hair needs to be dyed now. I'm in that place in my life. Because if I started to let grays start to wind in through here, I'm not sure how seriously I would be taken by not only other, you know, my clients are going to start to see me differently, my colleagues will start to see me differently, and that is not something that is I'm comfortable with right now, right? So I feel the need to continue to get my hair done. You know, with the hair, we have eyebrows, we have bikini lines, we have all this stuff on our face. I mean, there are so many procedures a lot of women go through. Do you know that there is a thing you go to a, like a person who does facials and stuff like that, and they will take a little razor and they will shave off every one of these tiny little baby hairs on your face. And
Let
so,
me tell you.
and like, it's like, first off, all this stuff is expensive and it has to be done over and over and over and over again. Nails, hair, you know, facials, waxing. That is just the tip of the iceberg. You want to talk about eyelashes and you want to talk about trying to stay young. All of these things cost money. And then
Let me
as we're trying to look younger, then we get yelled at for spending so goddamn much money. That's the part that's making me crazy.
Well,
sorry.
I'm gonna no, because I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna fight this fight with you because on top of all of that, I have polycystic ovarian syndrome, and one of the worst fucking things is you get male pattern hair growth randomly. You get my friend, I love her. Please don't yell at me when I spew this about you. She gets chest hair.
Yeah.
And so she plucks chest hair. That hurts. But what's worse is, you know, I can grow a beard faster than my husband. Hand to God, I can. And I have done laser hair removal. I have 3 at home laser hair removal things.
They don't work.
Razors, they actually do, but you have to do it every fucking day. It's obnoxious. And it fucking hurts.
That's clearly my problem.
It hurts. It doesn't work on little white baby hairs. It has to be the dark stuff.
Yeah.
It feels like you're snapping your face with a rubber band. I shouldn't have to inflict pain on myself to just fit in and not, ew, what's wrong with her face? I mean, my 3-year-old, if I miss a day, she's like, Mommy, why do you have spikes on your face? And I'm like, your ass. But then I have to go and explain to my children, like, this is something that could affect you in the future, and people are assholes, and so this is why we try. And I mean, we're hiding parts of who we are to make other people comfortable.
I mean, isn't it ironic that we're living in a world where there are a lot of people who have a lot of criticisms about like LGBTQ and trans people, but yet here we are, regular heterosexuals, just, you know, trying to live in our lives, and we don't look like we would look if we let God show us what we were supposed to look like.
Right.
None of us are looking the way we were intended to look. And I'm telling you, I'm getting to the age where I'm looking at facelifts. I'm looking at, and never in a million years did I ever think that would be something. I would have joked, I would have laughed in your face 10 years ago. I would have said, I'm going to age. I'm going to just accept it. I don't want to accept it. It's not pleasant.
No.
And the problem is that I definitely feel as a lawyer and as a content creator that there will come a point in time where people will take me less seriously if I look like an old hag. To be honest with you, I understand that my persuasiveness starts to decline if I'm not able to, right? If I had a beard, I don't think people would be listening to me.
Right. Well, that's the thing. Like when I film as a content creator, I'm angle up. I don't want you to see, because looking at I don't like it. And I was just out in the field this morning getting angry at how annoyed I was with how many pictures I took before I sent you one that was acceptable in my eyes. And even then I was like, I see that, I see that, I see that, and she's going to see it, and holy shit. And then I'm like, well, you hung out, and I don't think she really gives a shit. But I text my husband and I'm like, that's it. I'm done. I've got to go back on my lifestyle change. I need to lose this weight because I'm 41 years old now. And I know that it's going to get harder as I get older. And I need to do it now because I'm already feeling uncomfortable, and I can tell people are like not taking me seriously, just a funny fat lady on whatever. And I know when I had lost 140 pounds, I felt amazing for the most part. And, there was still body dysmorphia.
Yeah.
But then I was like, if I lose this weight, can I get my boobs done? Like, I don't need them at my belly button. I know what happens when I lose this weight. We're going to hike them up to my chin. I don't care. I'm fighting gravity on this one. But it's going to cost me $25,000, $30,000 to do it, or whatever a boob job costs.
Yeah. I don't think they're quite that much. However, the more work they have to do, like I'm pretty sure a boob job for me would be a lot more expensive.
Listen, there's a lot of lifting, tucking.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have to add in implants too. Anyway, but again, men don't have those things that they have to worry about. Men don't worry about boob jobs or tummy tucks or facelifts. I know men that have had facelifts, but they don't worry about that because they're men.
They definitely don't worry about it in the same way that we do, because I would venture to say that they have not gone through their life experiencing appearance-based discrimination, which is common for women. It happens to women. It's much less common or much less likely for men. So appearance-based discrimination, we see it in the hiring and promotion stage, right? So when we're talking about, women in the workplace, they say that the studies are showing that hiring managers consider a woman's appearance in hiring decisions, whether or not her way she looks is relevant, even if she's on a phone, right? Like that has come out as being a factor. Of course it is. And then we've got the discriminatory dress codes. And let me tell you something. I have been fighting in the legal career about dress codes since the day I stepped into this space. When I first started working for, let me take it back. My very first job, my very first internship in law was with the bankruptcy judge in Toledo. Really nice guy who ended up being my mentor. But he had a very clear and no moving around this rule. It was no pants for women. No pants. I couldn't wear pants to work. The women could, if you were a woman judge or woman lawyer, you knew not to wear pants if you were practicing in front of him. He did not like that. And as much as I adored him, I understood that he was a product of his, of who he was. But then I graduated from law school and started working for the law firm that my dad was in. We've talked about this periodically. There were some ups and downs there. But when I started working for them, one of the first things there was a dress code. I had to wear hose at all times. You had to wear a hose with dress or skirt. And I said, absolutely not. Absolutely not. That's dated. Yeah. It's crazy. I'm not going to spend that money. And I had to, who I had to fight with? Because I did not have to fight with my stepdad. He rolled over because I just looked him in the eye and said, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. I had that pout, right?
Right.
Who came after me was the most senior paralegal. who was not okay with that. She was old school, and she had to wear them, and she was going to make everybody else wear them. And I fortunately was above her and said, absolutely not. That is not happening. And then I went into the computer system, into the dress code, and I went in and I started removing those sections because that was not okay. I really feel that telling women what they can and cannot wear in the workspace is a dangerous thing.
Absolutely.
And it also, I had to go buy a bunch of dresses to go work for this guy because I didn't have all those things, right? And if you're not providing those costs for somebody, and you're going to have unrealistic expectations that are going to curtail, who they are, that's a problem, I think. And I do think that's weaponizing, women's looking presentable. I think that's weaponizing them.
Oh, absolutely. And it doesn't just go with clothing. I mean, hair. I know when my oldest child has super curly hair, like way curly hair. And it's like we've had teachers say, "Can you tame it?" And I'm like, "Absolutely not. No, we're not taming my child's hair." Now, sure, she just cut it all off, but this is, Black women who wear dreadlocks get told that's not professional in the workplace. That's their natural fucking hair. This is their hair. You don't get to dictate how high somebody's hair is, how puffy it is, how straight it is, what color it is.
Right.
I don't care if you if you were an attorney that colored your hair aquamarine. I wouldn't care. If you could do your job, fan-fucking-tastic.
Yeah.
Like, I cannot stand someone dictating about someone's hair because I think it comes from, balding men, but that's just me. They're jealous.
Well, I definitely think that the impact on minorities in this whole context that we're talking about, weaponizing, what it means to look presentable, pink tax, making life harder. Clearly, women of color, particularly Black women, of course, they face greater scrutiny and judgment regarding their appearance in a professional 100%. Setting, and obviously outside of a professional setting. I do want to point out that there is something called the Crown Act, which stands for Creating Respectful and Open World for Natural Hair. It is a law that prohibits race-based hair discrimination, but as of right now, it's only in 20 states. And Ohio is not one of them.
Of course it's not.
Ohio is definitely not one of them. So the reality is that there are some communities who recognize that this is a problem, but why isn't it this case everywhere? It goes to show you that there are communities who want to control people's hair. There's a judge. My law firm had a trial in front of a judge 2 years ago, and the judge would not allow any lawyers to have any facial jewelry. And many people know I have a nose ring, and I had to remove it. And I had to then go pay. I had to pay somebody to remove it, and I had to pay somebody to put it back in, just to make that judge happy. And the whole time I was thinking, if I was out on my own and didn't have to worry about partners right now, I would definitely have left it in there and just, seen what had happened. But, I think, there's perceived incompetence. I don't know. Does this judge think, people with nose rings are not capable? I don't understand. Not that the judge would know that I got a nose ring, with my daughter when she had been through a particularly difficult time. Nobody would know the reason that I have it. Nobody else's business, but it's very meaningful to me. And so to suggest, to have an opinion about it, I think is nobody else's business, quite frankly.
Right. And you said this, and as soon as the word came out of your mouth, I was like, that's it. It's all about control.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it is.
I mean, that's what it is.
It is.
Hair, clothes, face, piercings. It's all about control. I have tattoos all over my arms. We know this. I have tattoos on my legs. I have a tattoo on my back. I'm not going to stop. I'm 41 years old. I love tattoos, whatever. When I worked in the corporate office or in a call center of all places where I didn't see people, I was told you cannot have any visible tattoos.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why? Who's it hurting? Who cares? If it's something derogatory or nasty or horrible, sure, absolutely, totally understand. That I get. But no. And that was one of my reasons for not continuing in the normal workplace, because I didn't want somebody to be able to control what I did with my body.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
That's fair.
I mean, yeah, okay, I don't really care for face tattoos or neck tattoos, but that's me.
Right.
And I'm not going to judge anybody else for doing it. Do it up. Cool. That's you. But I'll put them all over my arms and my legs. Hell yeah. But you're not going to tell me to cover them up.
Yeah. I mean, I would say I do think tattoos have come a long way. Tattoos have come
Absolutely.
a long way, and it is nice to see them normalized to some extent. But you're right. It's these little things that really stand in the way and get in the way of doing important work and important business and that kind of stuff. Well, in addition to all of the actual financial money that we have to spend, I think one of the things we do not pay attention to is the amount of emotional labor and unpaid work that women are engaging in. And we do touch on this a lot, right? Like,
Right.
all of the soft tasks that women have to do, like, being the CEO of the family and managing calendars and being a therapist. These are all unpaid tasks. We're definitely keeping everybody in track. But one things I will say is that I do think that oftentimes we know that women are doing more of this work in the home, and the two parts that are difficult here are, first and foremost, for women who are in careers like me. The fact that everybody I worked with was a man, right? All of the lawyers were men. The fact that everybody I worked with was a man, and they all had spouses. They were all, they all had spouses. And it felt to me my entire career that men were a little perplexed when I wasn't going out after work for 3 hours at the bar, or that I wasn't meeting up on Saturday at the golf course. And they don't even have to think about those things, right? And of course it impacted my ability to be respected and to drive business. I see it more now than I did 15 years ago. I see how much time trying to do everything really took me away from those soft areas where the men were engaging in more nuanced work amongst themselves that was making them more valuable and more successful than me. And I see that now, and it's very frustrating to know that it happened and that I wasn't really in a position to be able to see it well enough to stop it or stand up for myself in that place. But I want women to look around, and I want you to look at the soft thing. And not just that, Kristen, like, I had to get up early to wash my hair and blow dry it and put makeup on and pick out outfits and and look like this. It takes me longer. I had less sleep. I had less time to eat. I had, my commute was more complicated because I had to put all of these other things, looking good, decent enough to go to work, and also taking care of all of my family's needs. Those are things that are absolutely not cataloged in the working world that we're in today.
And honestly, okay, so I've been a stay-at-home mom since I've had kids. And yes, I hustle and have 47 jobs and, whatever, but I don't have what people would say is a normal career. And I would be classified as a stay-at-home mom, and the battle between stay-at-home moms and working moms is infuriating to me, because I have the utmost respect for any woman, any mom who has a full-time career, then comes home, busts her ass, takes care of her kids, and does all the normal things that a stay-at-home mom can do. And if she can afford a maid, hell yeah. If she can afford to have somebody do their laundry 3 times a week, hell yeah. It is not a fucking competition.
Right.
Women have pit each other against each other for no reason. None of us are better than the other. I stay at home. My house is a damn mess because I'm doing 4,000 other things to make sure everybody else's needs are met. And sometimes I think if daycare wasn't so expensive, I could go get a job and, maybe feel like I'm actually doing something with my fucking life. Because yes, I'm raising 2 kids and I have run a farm and, do this and do that. Women, even, oh man, I didn't realize I was going to get pissed off.
Ooh.
There's no reason to be fighting against each other when at the end of the day, we are all just trying to survive and raise a family and put food on the table.
Right.
And not feel like shit. I don't know what I'm trying. I know what I'm trying to say.
I totally agree. And it's just, it's the conundrum of women. We would totally be in charge of the world if we didn't fight with each other as much as we do. We just can't, we can't get over ourselves. We have to find controversy with each other. And it's really unfortunate. And as somebody who worked, I was home for 6 months after my twins were born. And then for a year and a half, I worked part-time. Okay, so the first 2 years were less, but then after they were 2, I was back in. I was becoming a partner. My kids went to daycare every day. And I want to make sure that every single stay-at-home mom understands that you're doing the same amount of work as I'm doing. I'm doing the same that you're doing. We're just doing it a little bit differently. Absolutely. I had the benefit. I had to pay somebody else to watch my kids. I was not taking care of my kids and they weren't in my house. So the house wasn't getting messed up all day long. And those 2 things were very helpful to me. And those 2 things made it a little bit more easy for me to go to work. But it doesn't mean that we didn't have the same responsibilities. We were in charge of making sure our kids were healthy, safe, fed, and all of their needs were being met, no matter where we were. And we were still responsible for everything at home. And so I never understood this argument or this animosity between stay-at-home moms and working moms, because we are all doing the same stuff, just doing it, trying to do it. It just looks a little bit differently. Some people have housekeepers who come in once a week to help them. Some people have tutors that come in. Some people, have play dates, and some people have, they work from home 1 day a week, whatever. But the point is that we all had the same responsibilities. And at the end of the day, us women were responsible for most of it.
Absolutely. Now, here's my other question, and something that also pisses me off, but it's more just, it just shows the inequities. Stay-at-home dads, I respect the hell out of them because I know that their spouse is out working and, bringing home the bacon, my role reverse, essentially. Why are they getting slaps on the asses still? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But we've been doing it for millennia. You guys just started and, oh my God, this is so amazing. You're so amazing. And I do have to say, they get trash talked by the men. I know this.
They do.
I know this. So, but I see that. And so I respect them very much. I respect stay-at-home dads for the crap they take from other men. But why can't I get a slap on the ass every once in a while? And I don't mean from my husband when I'm in the kitchen washing dishes.
I hear
you. Shit, man. Even stay-at-home parenting, they get, accolades and whatever. The inequity is just so ridiculous, and it's emotionally taxing.
I will say too that when you have a traditionally father figure staying at home, that is more new, and I'm really glad to see that the world is shifting and that people are making decisions like that. But you're right; they get tremendous accolades, and I can't believe you're doing that. And what a great dad! They definitely getting that from the women, but by the same token, if they are married to a woman who's going out to work every day, there is a perception that she is cold, that she doesn't care
Yes.
about her kids,
Mm-hmm.
that that she, he's staying at home and she's working, and it's a whole other set of a judgment that they're both
Yep.
going to get
Mm-hmm.
in that situation.
It's very interesting.
Another thing that we don't talk about a lot in terms of prices that women pay is something called a scapegoat mentality. So, a scapegoat mentality is historically speaking, let me give you an example. Scapegoat mentality is in Salem, Massachusetts in the 1600s, right? We all know that it's a woman and
Mm-hmm.
she's now in trouble for what, gossiping or something
Mm-hmm.
like that. And so they make impossible tasks to
Mm-hmm.
prove that we are something or we're not. And what they're doing is they're using a behavior and claiming they're witches. It's a
Yep.
scapegoat,
Mm-hmm.
and we're oftentimes the scapegoats for family problems, on a lower level. We tend to be the scapegoats in societal when something's going wrong societally. When our children are acting out, it's the moms, right? The moms aren't
Mm-hmm.
there. We become the scapegoats. And think about it like this: you're in a very in a very religious community, and a girl gets pregnant, right? And
Mm-hmm.
nobody, it's like
It's her fault. Yep.
it's like the scarlet letter. The whole point of the scarlet letter is an example of a
Yep.
scapegoat mentality,
Mm-hmm.
making her suffer because
Yep.
we can't stomach the thought of our leaders being bad, so we make them suffer. Women are, more often than anybody else, we are the scapegoats in society. We are scapegoats in our families oftentimes, especially when it comes to financial
I
decisions.
was just gonna say that.
That's where
Mm-hmm.
I was going with that, because
Yep.
we're tasked with the responsibility of making it all work, and all of these expectations on us, and then we kind of get yelled at when it's not working out. Like we have some
Right.
control over. It's almost as if we're whimsically spending all of the family's money when we're really trying to figure out how to meet everybody's needs. Scapegoat
Exactly.
mentality is a big problem, and it's something that
That
I've seen.
that was something, and I mean, I'm sure you've seen it because of the bankruptcy, history. When we were filing, I had someone say, "Well, if you could rein in your spending, I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
your husband could pay the
Mm-hmm.
bills." And I was like,
Mm-hmm. That's
"Oh, really now?"
That's exactly what
Um,
I'm talking about.
yeah,
We naturally receive the criticism, and it is inherently placed upon our shoulders to solve these problems when there's no reason it needs to be our problem any more than our spouse's.
right. And I will say one of the things I look up to women that fight back on that. So there's a woman on TikTok, her name's CJ. She's the CJ the car girl, and she is phenomenal.
I love her.
She was a car salesperson and learned all the tips and tricks and trades of the trade, I should say. And she went to TikTok and was like, "Here's what you need to know about buying a car and how I'm going to save you thousands of dollars." And I'll be damned if she's not right every freaking time. And it also doesn't hurt that she has baby corgis that are little baby baked potatoes. But the car things are phenomenal. When we bought my husband's truck, I took the things I learned from CJ. And when I walked into that small dealership, they were not happy to see me coming. I think it was like $3,000 knocked off the vehicle because I was like, "I'm not paying for that. I'm not paying for this. I'm not paying for that. And if you're going to do this, and they were like, oh, they kept looking at my husband like, "What do you?" And he's like, "Mm-mm. Talk to her. Talk to her." Thank God I'm married to a man that's like, "Oh, I like to see it when she flies off the handle or takes care of business." But yeah, CJ has we're gonna put her information down in the description, but go follow her because she's phenomenal.
No question. I think if you asked most women what experience or what industry or in what lane they would say they feel the most disrespected and most looked over as if they don't exist, and it's probably going to be in the car buying experience.
Car
I think
buying. Oh, I was going to say, and repair. I guarantee you.
absolutely.
Good Lord Almighty. I am a hillbilly. I am a backyard mechanic. I was raised by mechanics. I don't like to wait for other people to do shit. And I don't like to pay people to do shit when I can just figure it out by looking at a YouTube video or looking at a manual. I have so many manuals for cars, it's not even funny. But I would, from the time I was 16, I would go into a car parts store and they'd be like, where's your dad? Where's your brother? Where's your uncle? Or any male figure. Who's the man with you?
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, you son of a...
Mm-hmm.
There is no man with me. Just because I have tits and a vagina doesn't mean I don't know what car part I need.
Mm-hmm.
The disparity of the way I get treated versus the way my husband gets treated, they hate to see this fat broad coming at any car parts store. They do not like, they're like, oh shit, here she comes again. If I have to return a part because they said they knew what I needed, God help them.
Yeah.
They better have their last will and testaments ready. I have ripped, I told you I was going to get fired up about this. I have ripped some men to pieces at the car parts store.
I have no doubt about that. None at all. And you are going with me to the car part store the next time I go.
Yes!
There is no discussion. Now, my question for you, Kristen, is what I want to do I want to create a fantastic alternate universe for us.
Yes.
And in this universe, women are running the world. And what are some things you would change? We'll go back and forth. Give me some things you would change, some things I would change if we were in charge.
Every man that tells you to smile more gets a punch in the nuts every time he says it.
I was just thinking about that the other day. And the irony is I smile a lot. Like I'm a smiler. I'm a big, big smiler. But I'm pretty sure it's a defense mechanism. And it makes me very angry when I hear people suggest that they should be able to be in control of your emotions. We are the only ones in control of our emotions. Okay. If I were in charge, I would tell you that bras would be tax deductible.
Yes, and no longer underwire.
We've had that discussion, but absolutely more. I want more tax relief if I have to endure the underwires. What about you?
Agreed. 100% agreed. As a matter of fact, if you have to purchase an underwire bra, you get a $500 stipend.
I love it.
Time.
Absolutely.
Fuck it. We're giving it away now.
I mean, they're just so miserable at this point. Yeah.
Yeah. I just had this conversation with my daughters about underwire bras. It's a whole thing. All right. If I was in charge, the wage gap is closed. No longer do we have wage gap disparages. I think that we both are kind of on that same page.
Yeah. I mean, we would definitely be putting in laws in place that make everybody's salaries public. And yeah, I would agree with that. We got to know what everybody's making. If I were in charge, I would say that everybody gets all forgotten emails are forgiven on the 7th day.
Ooh,
you like that?
I like that one. That's an ADHD person's dream.
It is an ADHD person's dream. It's brain support for the mom. I am navigating too much of this stuff. If I don't respond in 7 days, you gotta move on to my husband. That's what I think. I think everybody should have to do, or move on to the next. I will designate a chain of command.
Yes, we're gonna have an email chain of command.
We're gonna designate a chain of command.
I like that. Okay. Let's see here.
I got a couple of good ones.
I got some really good ones, but some are really spicy. Listen, we're not gonna lie. I totally I talked to my Chat GPT buddy about this.
Oh boy.
Because,
Did you tell her to give you some spicy ideas?
I absolutely did. Full feminist fury is what we were going for. Cis men are not allowed to make any policy decisions until they can correctly identify a vulva or a clitoris. And they never will.
Do you know what a clitoris and Antarctica have in common?
Shit, no.
Most men know it's there, but few really care. That's a joke back from my high school days, man. I don't know. That one is the only one that's ever stuck with me. It's the only one. I cannot remember any jokes, but that joke I can remember well.
I can remember the dirtiest damn jokes that I would get canceled for if I told you. Well, told you publicly. Yeah. Uh-huh. That's a good one. I'm going to have to remember that.
Well, I have a less spicy one.
Okay.
If I was in charge, there would be universal childcare run by grandmas.
Ooh.
Grandmas and aunties.
Oh yeah.
Or you know, it's free hugs all day, all the time. I mean,
the nice grandmas, because
definitely the nice grandma. Oh, you're gonna have to go. Listen, you're gonna have to go through an interview process, and we're gonna let we're gonna let grandfathers in there too. But again,
yes,
uncles, there's gonna be an interview process because we're trying to find a theme here.
Right.
Definitely looking for a theme.
Safety first. Okay, women's history is a core subject in school.
I love that. That is really smart. I took a women's studies course in college, and you're right. Like, why did I have to go to college and take a special course just to learn some things I didn't even know about my own situation, right?
Right. Exactly.
If I were in charge, schools would close at 5:00. They would not close at 2:40 in the afternoon when most people are still moving into their afternoon appointments and hearings and court stuff. And how the hell do you get them to their activities and all of those things if they are let out of school in the middle of the freaking afternoon?
But then what time do they start? Because my kid has to get up at like 5:30 in the morning to get on the bus by 6:15.
Well, listen, I mean, no, it can start later. I'm just talking about being accommodating for working parents. Like that's the problem that I have, is that, you know, I'm expected to be at work from 8 to 5, but my kid has to go to school at 6 a.m. and gets home at 2:40. Nothing lines up. There's no alternative options here. My only option is to homeschool them, right? And I know you've homeschooled your kids. I know plenty of people who've homeschooled. That's wonderful, but that defeats the purpose.
Yeah, exactly.
You need to go to work, so it doesn't work for me that way.
Okay, in the same vein, moms get a free assistant. Yeah, is that the word? Yeah, assistant. What? That word sounds weird to me.
I like this. I like where you're going with this already.
Moms get a free assistant until their youngest is 18.
I'm going to say until their youngest is settled into college or in their new apartment or whatever their next life is. Because let me tell you something, as the parent here who took 2 kids from high school, when they turned 18, the work was not over. So we're going to need some buffer on that. We need some buffer.
Mm-hmm. Maybe
I like
between
it.
18, right? Maybe between 18 and that next phase, it's like a part-time thing.
Yeah, or maybe phase 2 where they have to check on the kids. See, I like that. I like that.
Nice.
I think that if you're in a mental health spiral and you get your bills paid, I think that you should get an award. That's something I would do if I were in charge, because when I'm spiraling through anxiety and depression, the fact that I can get my bills paid, you know, that's actually an accomplishment sometimes.
The fact that I actually like eat is an accomplishment on those days. All right, this is going to be very controversial.
Oh my gracious.
Okay. Marriage licenses are going to expire every 7 years. And then you get to choose to renew it. Great. If you don't want to, congratulations on your conscious uncoupling.
So what you're saying is that you should have a performance review, and with an optional with a clause in the contract that allows you to bail at the 7-year mark. I
Yep.
like it. I like it.
No stress,
Maybe.
no muss, no fuss.
Well, obviously we're gonna put those. We're gonna continue that. I want somebody to think once they made it 7 years with me, then they can start treating me like crap.
Yeah, no. Like it's an every 7-year thing.
Okay, I'm biblical. Oh, look, and you're pulling in the biblical concepts.
Because did you know that every 7 years your body's chemicals change? Like there's some weird shit my aunt told me 14 years ago. I don't know, but she
that would
told
be
me that
2
like
chemical bodies ago.
yes, 2 chemical bodies ago. She told me that because I was telling her about something, and she's like, "Did you know that like I don't remember now. I'm gonna have to ask her again, but it was something you change every 7 years."
Yeah.
And then there's the 7-year itch.
Yeah.
You know, this is we can get into some crazy shit there.
You know,
But
it's
yes.
going off tangent here. I was talking to somebody the other day about grief, something I do a lot, and they told me, they said that they had heard that it takes 7 years to start to feel like you can like to start to really process that they're gone. So that makes sense that there's this 7-year thing that humans must have some significance to us somehow. So
Isn't
just
that
leaning into
wild?
that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Kristen, we've given everybody a lot to think about today, and I want to ask you, as we're getting ready to wrap up, do you have any like decrees or anything that Queen Kristen would like what is the couple of your most important things that would be done if we ran the world? I will start because I've got a few. Okay. So the first thing I would do is make sure that all shoes are stylish, and they are orthopedically correct. I also believe that there should be an espresso machine in every courtroom in America. As a lawyer, that would help me out a lot. And but lastly, I would say that we would do away. I would put out a political decree if I were in charge that said that debt is morally neutral and shame is not allowed in the when you have debt. Not allowed to be shameful. It's morally neutral. Let's go fix it. No shame allowed. Go to jail if you're shameful.
Absolutely, I like that. Okay, so my first one would be everyone has equal and free access to mental health care.
Ooh, I like that.
Medical care, yeah, that's an automatic gonna happen.
Right.
But mental health care is everybody has access to it. That's very important to me. Number 2, everyone, it doesn't matter if you live in a fucking HOA or not, you are allowed to have 5 chickens, and you can grow your own godforsaken food anywhere on your property.
I like it.
I can have fruit and veggies and flowery shit. I don't care. You can grow your own food. You have the right to grow your own food and raise your own food.
I would love that. That would change my life immediately. I would be able to have chickens and some flowering trees. Yep.
And then once a month for a week, women are allowed to do absolutely nothing, and anything they desire, chocolate, heating pads, wine, reruns of the Gilmore Girls, whatever the hell they want, they get it. No questions asked. Doesn't matter.
Love it. I love it. I will end on this. I love Bravo. I was watching Summer House in their season finale, and they had they were doing the things with, you put like the sensors on to mimic having contractions. And what they did was they laid a guy down and a girl, and the girl had never had children before, but they were both on a losing team, so they had to put these things on. And what was so shocking to me is the discrepancy with the girl who had never had a baby before, right? She's just had her period her whole life and knows exactly what those things feel like, what that feels like. And the guy was just, you would have thought you were sticking him like a, like a pig, man. He
Mhm.
was crawling off of the table, screaming, yapping, and she was like handling it, right? She
Oh
was
yeah.
just like handling it. It didn't feel great, but she was
Uh-huh.
handling it. And I think that is a reminder to all of us women that we do come to the table with a tremendous amount of strength, much more than most men have. And as a
Mhm.
bankruptcy lawyer, I can say that throughout the history, every time I've met with couples, to me, from my perspective, it would appear as if most of the time the responsibility for finding solutions is on the shoulders of the woman, to go get the information, to talk to the lawyer, to fill out the paperwork, to make the decision to call, right? And I just want you guys to remember that they would not be able to endure periods or childbirth under really any real circumstances. And that little scene just drove it home. We've all seen those
Oh yeah.
scenes, but to see a girl and a guy next to each other, similar ages, neither one of them, she never had kids, that remind me how strong women are. And
Yep.
so, to Paige from Summer House, we salute you, my friend, because you are going to make a great mother someday. You were able to handle those contractions like a boss, and
Mhm.
Kyle was a little baby. And power to the women. There you go.
I love it. Perfect. Yeah, that is great. And my challenge to the listeners, not even challenge. I want our listeners to take this away this week. Men, don't be a dick. And women, we have a few men that listen to our podcast that have all female families, and they are amazing men.
Yeah,
They're amazing.
we're not lumping all men into any
No.
groups here. We recognize that there are women who are not like us, not, and there are men who appreciate and love us. And first off, a shout out to all of those men, especially my own husband.
Absolutely. Mine too, because he deals with a lot of shit. But women, instead of tearing each other down, straighten each other's crowns. That's
Yeah,
the only way we are going to fix this and be better as a whole and get
absolutely.
the things we actually need.
Don't pile on when another man is piling on a woman. Step back. I mean,
Hmm.
even just stepping back and not offering not offering any oxygen in that fire is going to
Yep,
go a long way. We need to start
absolutely.
speaking kindly about women who are not in the same room that we are in. That's something I became very cognizant about. We need to turn around and reach our arm out to help other women get up to where we are. This is not a competition. And you need to look very carefully in your own life to see if you're putting your own knee on the neck of somebody else,
Yep,
especially a woman. We need to do
yep.
better. That's a good. I love
When
ending it on that.
when you point your finger at somebody, remember 3 fingers are pointing back at you. Where the hell did I hear that?
Oh my God, that's so cheesy.
I know.
But you're right. I mean, it is true. It is true. But I want to see women doing better. There are more women need to be doing, be having these conversations and
Absolutely.
banding together. We got
Absolutely.
a lot of stuff's coming at us, ladies. We got a lot of stuff coming at us as a group. So let's
Mhm.
start sticking together. I love it.
Absolutely. All right. Until next time.
Until next time, Kristen, let's go live our lives and try to survive until the next taping.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us today on High Heels and Hay Bales. If you laughed, learned something, or just had a good time, make sure to follow wherever you listen.
And don't forget, we've got even more for you. Head over to highheelsandhaybales.com and subscribe to our newsletter and Substack for exclusive behind-the-scenes content, bloopers, and tips you didn't even know you needed.
You can also connect with us on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Send us your questions, funny stories, or topic ideas, and we'd love to hear from you.
Until next time, stay grounded, stay laughing, and stay out of trouble. Well, mostly.
See you next week.